Hello and welcome to The Balance. I'm your host, Andreana Jackson, a realtor with over a decade of experience in the Miami real estate market. And here on The Balance, I like to bring a touch of real estate and wellness. And today we're going to be talking about a topic that a lot of people silently go through and they just don't know how to address it. Living life by default. To lead us in that conversation, I have Danielle, a redesignment coach, right?
Redesign coach, yeah.
Yes. Life redesign coach and founder of Coach Dam.
Yep.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for agreeing to come.
Yeah.
So this is a different topic, but I think it touches on a lot of different subjects that we have covered here on The Balance.
Mm-hmm.
Just dive in and tell us a little bit about yourself before we dive into it.
And okay. So I'm a global child. So I grew up everywhere in the world.
Okay.
My parents moved almost like every 2 years while I was growing up. I was on a plane by 6 months, and we were traveling around a lot, lived in several different places. And in doing that, it created my ability to adapt.
Yes.
And adaptation, so important, but it also created a level of uncertainty as a child that you always grow up to be the human that you needed as a child, right?
Mm-hmm.
So now I found myself in Miami and I'm holding tight. I'm like not leaving. It's really hard to get me out on vacation just because we live in the most beautiful world.
Right.
Anyway, before I got here, there were many things that I went through in my life and all of them led me to the next thing. It was always a stepping stone.
Okay.
And it wasn't until maybe when I was 30 that I realized that something had to change, because even though one thing was leading to another, there was always this underlying common denominator.
Okay.
And it was my thought. The way I thought of myself, the way I perceived the world to be,
Mm-hmm.
the way I thought what people expected of me.
Mm-hmm.
And I lived that life. I was living through the expectations of other people, my family, my friends, my community, which ultimately led me to walk down the aisle with the wrong person. While as I was walking down the aisle, I knew it was wrong. And I still did it. And it took so much courage and kind of like tearing down of the structure that I had known for so long for me to actually sit with him and tell him that I had made a big mistake and that, I needed a divorce. And as tough as it was also a very liberating experience because it led me in a journey of a lot of personal development and growth and ultimately led me here today.
So you were living life by default.
Exactly.
A term you coined.
Yes. I was living a life by default under the expectations, under the unconscious conditionings that have built throughout my entire life. And it's not to say that people directly told me, right?
It's
that
society expectation.
Exactly. It's how I perceived that I had to be. So it's there was no villain.
Right.
There was no villain other than the way I perceived things. So I was the villain of my own life.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people are, and they don't realize it. So that's why I created the Life by Design method, the coaching program.
Take us through that.
Okay. So the coaching program is a 6-month coaching program.
Okay.
And, I can't speak to other coaches. I know that there are so many coaches out there, so it's hard to speak to all of them.
Okay.
But my main drive in this program isn't to change who you are or reinvent you. It's simply to allow you to remember your essence or remember who you are prior to all the conditioning, unconscious conditioning that happened in your life, and go back to that. Go back to your deepest essence and then rebuild from that stage. So that requires a lot of time, right? That requires, hey, you have the opportunity to really rediscover who you are, right? Release who you have been, reclaim that power. And then once you've done those 3, then you can start redesigning, realigning your life, and then rise up to what you envision yourself to become.
So let's back up a little bit.
Yeah.
So you mostly work with women over 30.
Yes.
And why that sweet spot? Just 30.
I think it's where I can speak to the best, because that's where I found my biggest shift was in 30.
Right.
The prefrontal cortex isn't fully formed until you're actually 26.
Right.
So allowing that person to really build their own version of who they are and allowing them a few years to live it, so that they can determine whether or not, this is who I am and this is how I like being, or maybe notice, hey, listen, like I've been living this life up until this point, up until now, and something is not aligning with who I envision myself becoming.
And what does that look like? Far as sometimes you could be in a rough spot at work, right? In life. Doesn't necessarily mean you're out of alignment. How can one differentiate
between the two? Yeah. So there's seasons, and then there's the seasons or phase, and then there's actual misalignment.
Okay.
Right? A season or phase is caused by an actual thing. Right? Like you go to work and you're like, shoot, my boss is really ticking me off. I don't want to see him. I don't want to hang out with him. He is very condescending. Right?
Right.
That is a season. That is a phase. That is a person that you're not aligning with. And that can trigger down into how you show up energetically. And that's normal. A phase is when a true misalignment is when you don't actually have something to point to. You don't actually have that thing that is really creating this disconnect, that dissonance between who you are being and who you can become. And a lot of times it's really hard to identify it. So you have to break down the scaffolding that was holding that structure so that you can identify, okay, but what are your true values? And your true values aren't identified by a list. They are identified by evidence, right? By what is the one thing that if someone dishonored, a value that someone dishonored, you would have a visceral reaction to, right? It's not like, growth, right? Yay, that's a great value, right? But do you have a visceral reaction to that when someone violates it? If you don't, then that's not your true value. And I take people... I take people through a plethora of exercises to help them actually identify what that is in the program. And then from there, then we start identifying what the strengths are, and then we start building up. We talked earlier about the blocks that build our current self-concept. Right. And these blocks, unconditioned blocks, right? Unconscious blocks, conditioned unconscious blocks, they're built over time. Right. And they're built so much that the baseline, the actual essence of you is completely covered up. So
because you've been doing
right. And so what happens is you create these neural pathways in your brain to prove your narrative.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, you're like, okay, I am not meant to be this person. So you're going to find all the things around you to prove to you that you are not, in fact, meant to be that person. Right. And all these little things. And you're going to start finding and looking. The reticular activating system, which is a part of your brain, will start like filtering out information in the world and how you perceive the world to make sure that narrative is accurate.
Right.
Because the ego needs to be right.
Right. So whatever you're looking for out there, you'll find.
Yeah.
And one thing I started doing was like, because we both listen to Mel Brooks.
Yeah.
Mel Robbins.
Yeah. Mel Robbins. Yeah.
Mel Brooks. Start looking for hearts.
Oh, you did? Did you find them?
Couple.
But I bet you, if you weren't looking for them, you wouldn't have found them.
Correct.
You know?
And I bring that up just to retrain the mind, because that's what we were talking about.
Yeah.
With my weight loss. And I was just saying, I still see myself one way, and you're like, oh no, but you've been conditioned to think of yourself that way.
Exactly. And speaking of weight loss, so prior to part of my journey, my growth journey was going into personal training realm. Okay. Right. Prior to being a coach, I was a personal trainer. And this was probably the biggest thing that kind of like catapulted me into coaching. Was I could see the difference between those clients who achieved a goal and those who didn't. Right. And it was whether or not they believed that they could be the person that they envisioned themselves as being. And if they were just like, my body is just fighting against me. And I heard that so many times. And every time someone would say that, I would have to go and search for information to help them retrain their brain. This is prior, again, to me being a coach.
Mm-hmm.
And so in me researching this, I fell into so many coaching certifications. And I was just like, I'm just going to dive in because I need to serve these clients. I want to make sure that I help them.
Right.
And then that just expanded me into further going deeper into the coaching realm and becoming a ICF certified and it's like forever student.
No, what is ICF certified?
It's International Coaching Federation.
Okay.
So, again, like I said, the coaching world is very saturated. So if you're looking for a coach, I think one of the greatest things that you can do is either make sure that they have some education, whether it's in academia or at least certified by the International Coaching Federation, which is one of the most highly recognized federations in the United States and actually globally. So,
it's nice to know.
Yeah.
So you're working with a lot of high achieving individuals.
Yeah.
Who on paper it looks very successful.
Yeah.
You're living that life.
Yeah.
And within you're like, you're not as happy as you think you should be.
Well, and that's where it comes, right? That you're like, I should be happier. I should be happier. I have everything. And then that propels into guilt. And then guilt propels into catabolic states of being, which only solidifies the unhappiness. And so again, with that narrative bias, right? Start finding different things. But yeah, and I think the thing with high achieving women is that they've done and gotten so much accomplished. Why isn't it working anymore?
Right.
Why is this not the thing that I want to get? And then that's where the misalignment comes in.
They've achieved everything. They're looking great. They're feeling outside. You're feeling great.
Yeah.
But inside, it's just not happening for you.
It's not.
And is that hard for them to accept that? Saying, hey, I got to walk away from this?
Sometimes it's not always leading to a walk away.
Okay.
Sometimes it doesn't always have to lead to that.
Okay.
Sometimes it's truly training you to be able to see the other side of the situation, right? I mean, I was thinking of an example earlier today. And let's say someone told you that, I went on a date and as we were walking back home, I got soaked. It started raining and I got soaked and it really just I just felt gross and it was cold and it was, ugh. Right? That's one person. The person that went on that date with her was like, we went on this great date. And then as I was walking her home, it started raining and it was so romantic. And I just felt like that was perfect time to give her a kiss. And it was just felt like a scene from The Notebook.
Right.
Same experience, different
narrative.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Different narrative. So sometimes it's helping to work with the mind to help them see what the other narrative is. Because honestly, reality really isn't real. Reality is based on our past experiences, right? Our brain creates our reality based on the experience that we've had in the past. And so you continue to propel those same experiences over and over again, unless you consciously choose to change it. And one of the tools that I use to help people do that, to create greater awareness in how they move through the world, is the Enneagram, which ultimately taps into your unconscious motivations. Like what is really behind the acts that you're doing.
So is that like a personality test?
It's not personality.
Okay.
It's not personality. It is personality. So someone can be, it could fall into the personality realm or umbrella, but it's more talking about the motivation behind the personality.
Oh. Okay.
So why are you motivated to behave this way? Right?
Okay.
So someone can come off as a really hard worker, right? They're just okay, I work super hard and I am an overachiever, the overachieving woman. The underlying motivation could either be my worth is determined on my achievements.
Identity.
Right? Or I'm not good until everything's perfect. Those are two very different motivations, perfection and overachieving. Two very different motivations, but same behavior. Right. Same quote unquote personality, right? That personality that leads to that behavior. So identifying what the motivation is helps us create greater awareness as to why you do certain things. And then we can start seeing, okay, if this person acts this way and we know what their motivation is, how can we create a different behavior that would actually make them feel more whole.
Whole without having to beat yourself to perfectionism.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Like acceptance is the biggest thing. And awareness is a funny thing too. You mentioned awareness, right? There are three basic levels of awareness. The first level is you don't know. You're completely unaware, right? And that's just like, you're just completely walking blind. We call them sleep, right? They're asleep.
Okay.
And then you have the level 2. And this is where that saying, ignorance is bliss, comes in. Because this is, now you're aware of your patterns. You're aware of the things that need to change, but you continue to do the same things as you did when you were unaware.
Right.
So now you have that like, that dissonance. You're just like, I know I should be doing better, but I'm not. And then that's like that friction. Right. Level 3 is ultimately when you identify that awareness and you start moving as you would with that awareness.
Okay.
So those are 3 levels of the awareness. And I take my clients through that. Sometimes I don't know why I'm feeling completely misaligned or disconnected from my life. I'm just kind of going through the motions. That is kind of like between 1 and 2. So now we have to like identify the patterns. And, one thing that I think it's important to note here, like the awakening process is not butterflies and rainbows.
Sometimes it's tears.
It is. It's a lot of tears. You're grieving a part of you that has held you for so long, and also grieving your misinterpretations or miscreations of life, and thinking that, but I thought this was like this and it wasn't. And now you have to take accountability for the things that you did, so sometimes it can be really hard and really jarring for a lot of people. So it's important to create that really safe space for people to be able to feel all the feels, and the worst thing that you can do is try to cover your emotions with something else. It's the only way out is through, you gotta let that emotion pass through you as tough as it is. And the ego will tell you, no, you can't handle it, but you can. You are strong enough. Your essence can hold you.
Well, the ego's going to comfort you.
Well, the ego will find ways to protect you.
Right. Through that comfort of it's worked before.
Right. It's that's the miscreation.
Right.
It'll make you think that it's comfort. It's the comfortable hell versus the uncomfortable heaven.
Getting out of that default.
Exactly. And sometimes people get stuck on that comfort, right? Because that's all they know.
Right.
That's all they know.
How come change is so hard for some people?
Well, there are many. I can't generalize it for everyone. But I will say we talked about those building blocks, and sometimes those blocks are heavier than others, and sometimes that conditioning is so ingrained that you don't even know or can perceive yourself as being something other than what you are right now.
Right.
So, and when it's that deeply ingrained, that's when we have to make like really small actions, because you don't want to completely destabilize someone's nervous system. You have to create that safety and say, maybe like the smallest step of creating like micro integrity promises for yourself, which is what I do with a lot of my clients. And, we talked about the value that you want to honor. That is visceral, right?
Yes.
What is one action that you've done in the past that can honor that value? And then they'll say the action. Okay. What is one step along those lines that you can start doing daily that you've already done? You've already done it. You know how to do it, but can you commit to doing it daily? Right? Whether it's brushing your teeth. I don't know. That's a just random example. But, if someone doesn't like brushing their teeth, I'm like, okay, but you know how to do it. You've done it before.
Right.
All right. Can you commit to doing it daily? And then you go into creating habit loops, right? So habit loops are, it's a stimulus, or habits are stimulus responses. So your habits are dictated by a cue, right? So let's keep going with the brushing your teeth example. Right.
Okay.
So let's say you don't like brushing your teeth, but you wash your face, right? So you wash your face, you put the toothbrush right there next to your washcloth, right? That washing your face is the cue to you picking up that toothbrush,
Right.
Right. So then you create cues. And okay, for another more common example would be working out.
Okay.
Right. So maybe you can resonate with this one. For those who have a hard time getting into the training life. If you want to commit to working out, you can do the habit of laying out your clothes in front of the toilet seat for your workout for the next morning. So
it's important to me. It's important to me to have nice looking workout clothes.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing, right? That would be
it's a motivator.
Right. So that goes back to the loop, right? So the loop is the cue. Then you have the action of the habit, and then you have the reward. The reward is, let's say, if I wear this clothes, I get to buy a new one for next week. Right.
Right.
So then that's the reward. Right. So then you close the loop. So every habit is built around that loop. And that habit is built around the value, and the value is strengthened through those micro-integrity promises. So it's all like these, again, that's those building blocks, right?
Right.
But these are things, and that's just a generic example, but these are things that you can start implementing into your daily life to make sure that you start honoring that person that you want to become in the future.
Your coaching sessions with these women last between
I'm like, what?
Your sessions last like 6 months, right? Or longer.
Some continue. Some continue over. I've had clients who have been with me for 3 years.
Okay.
Actually, I had one client who stayed with me since the inception of Coach Dam, and she's still with me. But at that point, like I like to tell my clients always that, I am providing you with all the tools that you can these 6 months so that you can take it and move through it on your own so that you don't have to have me next to you. And the only reason why you stay is simply because you like having me next to you, but essentially the program is built strong enough and full enough to where after the 6 months, you can use those same frameworks to move through other issues and obstacles that you may come up with. But we talked about that too, right? I think it's important when you start coaching, when you start your coaching as a coachee journey, it is important to have that person with you because coaching is nuanced. Not everyone is going to respond to the framework the same way. Right. So it's good to, if you're starting out in your personal development journey, to have that person next to you in the beginning to help you see the other sides. And then if you want to take that framework and go off on your own and try to implement it on your own, by all means, go do it. You have that agency, you have sovereignty over your actions and who you are, and you have the tools, and now you understand how your mind works enough to really be self-led. But in the beginning, if anyone is contemplating starting anything right now and you've never had a coach, a simple framework, a simple step-by-step process is not going to do it. You need the coaching, you need the counseling. Yeah, we're not cookie cutters. We haven't all had the same experiences. The rain example, the walking in the rain example. Right? Two people, same exact scenario, completely different experiences. So it's being able to understand that you are unique. We're one, but we're one in different little pieces, right?
You are special.
You are special. You are unique. You are an individual, and your experiences shaped your reality. And not one person in this world has had all of your experiences as you have. So it's important to identify that and to understand that. As much as we just want to get that framework, I just want that step-by-step, that's not coaching. That's just essentially a step-by-step.
Right.
That's just a framework.
Before we go, tell me this. Yeah. How can they get a hold of you?
Okay. So the easiest way to get a hold of me is through my website, www.coachdam.com. I'm also on Substack. I'm on Instagram. And I will make sure to give you all that information so that you can put it in the description.
Yes.
Along with that, I do want to gift your audience with a gift. A visualization gift, and it also comes with a guide. So this is the number one step that I urge people to do. Again, we talked about self-concept and being able to visualize who you're becoming.
Mm-hmm.
This will help you with a quantum leap. If you do this exercise every day, and it only takes 10 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
you will get to where you want to get to.
I want to do this with you.
Yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
You hear that, audience? This is it. This is the whole point of the balance. The balance is about helping people find that alignment.
Yeah.
Like I said, how I started off the show, a lot of people are secretly like, this isn't working for me.
Yeah.
What do I do?
Yeah.
And people don't know who to talk to. Like you said, the market is saturated with different coaches, different styles, saying different outcomes, things like that.
Yeah.
And I think what I like about you, you're very direct. Far as how you work, working with women, majorly important.
Yeah,
just because not enough people have been working with women.
Yeah, Well, and I relate to women as I am one.
Hello.
So hello. Let's point the obvious.
Right. Well, and I think that's important. I think it's important to let women come and be in a safe space and say, "Hey, I did everything I thought was expected of me. Yeah. I don't like I don't like who I'm becoming or how I'm feeling right now."
And now, especially with the social expectations changing so much, society is constantly changing. So sometimes we get lost. We don't know. And we're trying to keep up, but we're keeping up with the wrong thing.
Oh, yeah.
We're not keeping up with us, with who we truly are. We're letting that go, behind and trying to keep up with something that is superficial and not really fulfilling in the long run.
Completely fake.
Yeah.
So,
unfortunately,
So it's really important to get back to yourself and
absolutely.
It's rapid fire question.
Okay.
It's starting over failure.
No, starting over is not failure. And your path to success is built upon many failures. So you have to fail in order for you to be able to reach to your success. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us today. Yeah. Again, everybody, Coach Dan's information will be in the description. You'll be able to get out in touch with her. If you have any questions for me, feel free to reach out to me at andreanajackson@gmail.com. Until next time.